He's a lifelong student dedicated to exploring and sharing the depths of holistic wellness and spiritual growth, and is the author of several influential books on breatharianism and has inspired many with his insights on the power of breath and energy to sustain life. You can get his books on Amazon: The Pranic Path and How to Grow It, A Hunger for Freedom, Breatharian Beginnings, Pranic Living Unveiled, Food Freedom, The Final Frontier, and the Solarians Series. And looks like we have him here. Let me put him on. Hey, Jerome.
Hi, do I need to hold on? Do I need to write my screen?
Welcome.
Do I need to go here?
Let's see.
Is that better?
Can I add a mic? All right. All right, let's try that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I hear you, but I want to make it louder.
Okay.
All right, keep talking.
Yes, yes. Hello.
Okay. All right, welcome, Jerome. Hey, so where are you?
Right now, I'm currently in Texas, USA.
Cool. What part of Texas?
New Braunfels. Yeah, just near to San Antonio and Austin.
I was born in San Antonio.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's where I got out of
I
high
knew
school.
there's a river walk there. I haven't. When I was born, the river walk had not been built, and even if it had been, I only thing I all I saw at that time in my life was the inside of my crib.
Hmm.
But I hear the river walk is a really beautiful architectural marvel.
It is. It is.
Cool. You go there a lot? Do
No,
you,
I haven't. I haven't been there that much. No, but yeah, that's where I used to live in San Antonio. Yeah.
oh, cool. And do you do?
Do I?
Let's see. Why else? Let me see if I can make this. Bear with me. I'm gonna drop
No
this.
worries. No worries.
And go. Well, I'm really excited to have you here. I want to thank you for joining the program. Thank you for coming on. Um,
Thank you.
so, what? When this show is dedicated to positive energy from a fifth dimensional metaphysical point of view,
Absolutely.
and so positive energy. I like to interview people from the local community contributing positive energy here on St. Croix. Theoretically, the whole U.S. Virgin Islands, which is also St. Thomas and St. John,
Hmm.
and I guess Water Island. I say that reluctantly because I don't. They got their own straw in the flag. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I don't think anybody else knows either. But so we used to be three. Now we're four islands. We're growing. We're going to take over the world one day. You watch us. And also people contributing positive energy to the world at large. And when I think of you, the first thing I think of is positive energy because you're so uplifting
Wow.
and so positive. But you weren't always like that. You were born to a regular American family, grew
Absolutely.
up on the sad diet, the standard American diet, and now you're on the pranic path. It's like a complete radical transformation.
Hmm.
So I think I would like to begin by just having you um, tell the people who are new to this and have never heard your story before
Hmm.
what brought about this huge radical transformation that turned you from just a regular American growing up in a regular family to a trailblazer on the Pranic path.
Wow. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that introduction and just for the sentiment. I really appreciate that. I really received that. And, I feel good energy coming from you as well. Just positivity that you're putting out on your platform. and giving people the space and the opportunity to share their stories and to share their life, to share their testimony. That's powerful. You know, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, it's my honor. It's the privilege of having this platform.
Absolutely. So definitely, you know, humble beginnings for sure. You know, with my family, like you said, the standard American diet, the sad diet. I was raised eating everything. My family still eats everything, excluding just, I guess, a few things that my family on my mom's side doesn't eat. With their religion, Seventh-day Adventist, they shy away from pork and shellfish, but everything else is pretty much fair game, like all sorts of animals, animal products, everything. And that was the way that I was raised. So that was very normal for me. So growing up, constipation was very normal for me. Indigestion was very normal for me. The upset stomach, the diarrhea, all of that was very normal. And I thought that was just how we're supposed to live in life. I just thought that that was just, you know, just came with the territory. So I didn't really know that there was any other ways to live. And I certainly didn't know about fasting, even though fasting is very in the, it's much in the scripture of the Bible that we were reading all the time in church. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot to do with fasting in the Bible, but I never took it upon myself to even go one day without eating. I mean, I think at least for, you know, for 27 years of my life, I never went one day without eating, not one day, not even one day. And I have family members in their, you know, their 60s and 70s now. They haven't gone one day without eating. So, you know, just to not be able to feel that release from the body that is in constant digestive mode, I had no idea what I was missing. I had no idea just the level of vitality, the level of health that I could experience. So, just making sure we're still good.
Yeah, we're still good. I'm trying to like focus in on you, but
Okay,
I
no
guess
worries.
it's good.
No worries. So during a time in my life where I spent a decade with one of my ex-partners, we were with each other for a good portion of my life, for at least 10 years. And
Uh-oh.
when we separated, that was a big split in my identity, kind of split. My heart was very split. When during that separation, it was very emotionally traumatic for me because I didn't really know what I was going to do after that point. You know, you're married to someone, you think that you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, and then it ends up turning out differently than you expected. So I was directed in another avenue. That was when I drove from Texas to California. When I drove from Texas to California, this was like my exodus, or just the next chapter that I was writing in my journey away from that relationship, finding myself again. Like, who is Jerome Shaw? Who am I? You know, what do I actually want out of life? What do I actually want to do? What am I here for? What is my purpose? You know, how can I be of service really to myself? Because if I can't be of service to myself, I definitely can't be of service to anyone else. You know, if I can't get my mind and my body in order, then it's not going to be happening, you know, on the outside. I needed to go internally first. So there's a saying, you know, with meditation, when you go within, if you don't go within, you go without. That's the saying. When you don't go within, you go without. And I was going without for a lot of my life when it came to frivolously wasting the sexual energy, frivolously wasting my time, frivolously just being distracted, you know, being distracted with a lot of things that were taking me away from my own design of where I knew that my highest potential could be a lot further than it was at that point in time. And being in California at that time, I just kind of felt in a hopeless state. I was very depressed. I was very stressed. I was very frustrated with myself. I was kind of angry at myself for allowing myself to be in that state and to have gotten to a point where I didn't really have a lot to show for my life at that point. I didn't have so much to, you know, to really brag about to myself, not to anyone else, but to really feel fulfilled in my own, you know, trials and tribulations. It didn't feel like a high vibration at the time. It was a very low vibration. So I found a meditation seminar on meetup.com of all places. I was on my cell phone and I was just looking up things to do in Pasadena, California, in the area. And I found a meditation seminar. This led me to some monks and nuns from Myanmar who were
Oh,
at the,
wow.
yeah, so they all spoke Burmese. They were all Burmese. And I was only maybe one of the 2 or 3 participants there at that time that spoke English. So they had an English translator, and they were translating in English what they were talking in one room. They had a full room of people speaking in Burmese. And then in my little room during the seminar, they were teaching us Buddhist principles about meditation, about frustration, about, why we are in this constant complication or constant fluctuation of, you know, depression, sadness, suffering. Why do we suffer as human beings in society? Like, why are these things, happening to us? And this was not the knowledge that I was taught in college. I definitely wasn't taught the 8 precepts. I definitely wasn't taught any Buddhist teachings growing up in the church. None of that was known to me or shown to me. So when this lady, her name is Damatengi, or Sayale Kiki, some people called her Sayale, she was teaching us things that I had never heard before in my life, but it was speaking to me on a cellular level. It was really communicating something that really was hitting inside my spirit. Go ahead.
It was resonating with you.
Definitely. It was resonating with me on so many levels that I did not anticipate. Like, it was just making sense. It was very logical. It was very practical, but it was very spiritual. It was very spiritual knowledge that she was communicating. So after the seminar, she asked me, "Hey, Jerome, if you want, you can stay with us. If you want, you can stay here. If you want."
In the monastery in California with
At the
the
meditation center. Yes. Yeah. At the monastery, she just opened her doors to me and just told me that, hey, I could stay there. I didn't have to leave if I didn't want to. I could practice meditation. I could sleep over there. They had a mat for me. I could, she opened her refrigerator for me. I could have whatever,
Well, you were with when you separated from your wife, you were with her for 10 years, right?
Yes, we were together for
That's
10
a
years.
long time. And then you just got the feeling were you guided to drive to California, and then guided to find this new life orientation of meditating and not stressing and fretting over I imagine that after when a relationship that was going on for 10 years dissolved, you probably weren't feeling all that great. You were depressed and didn't know what to do. Right. And you get guided to California, and you didn't get like the answer of here's what you do, but you got a technique, i.e. meditation, that allowed you to eventually find your inner guidance so you would know what to do.
Exactly. You got it. So that's definitely it in a nutshell. I had just started meditating in 2017 via some apps, Headspace and Insight Timer. These were 2 apps on the telephone that
2017, what are you, like 5?
2017. No.
I'm joking. No, I'm yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know. I'm it's me. I got to shift my mindset because I find myself more and more talking to people that reference things that to me is like yesterday, but they act like it's ancient history.
Right.
So,
right. I hear you.
Yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
You're fine. So in 2017 was when I discovered meditation. I didn't even know that I had the option of, just sitting down with myself, silently alone in my solitude, and that I could even find solace in my own solitude, and find just to be able to work through my emotions and my stress and all of that turmoil inside of me and process that, and just have my own inner, psychotherapy, within my body. Yeah. So
that famous saying, right? Somebody, I think it might have been Blaise Pascal saying that the biggest problem with humanity is that the average man cannot spend an hour alone in a room by himself.
That's it. And I definitely believe that, he said all of humanity's problems stem from that one thing. And I certainly agree with that, because up until that point, it was not accustomed for me to do that. And it was very uncomfortable. The first few times that I sat down in silence with myself were very uncomfortable. But as I observed these monks and nuns from Myanmar, and just the way that they were able to do it so, so gracefully and faithfully, and just how they effortlessly maneuver throughout the world in the matrix. It just let me know, wow, there's a lot of things that I'm doing that I don't need to be doing. There's a lot of things that I actually, like, what do I really need? They each have maybe just 3 robes and an alms bowl that they do alms round in and collect donations as they walk barefoot through the street and just collect donations in their one alms bowl. And they just have 3 robes, just 3 pairs of clothes, and that's it. And they don't eat after noon. So I started to adopt the consumption before noon. So watching them with their food intake, I started to naturally gravitate towards fasting. And the reason, to answer your earlier question of why I went to California anyway, I graduated Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas. I got my bachelor in theater arts. So I was a theater major.
Oh, wow.
So performing arts was my, theater, that was my love. Acting, that was my passion, and I still utilize acting today in different ways. But so I went to California for that. I went to California for, for Hollywood, for the movies, for television. And there was a period of time where I was on TV. I was on different game shows and different TV shows before I met the monks and nuns. Once I met the monks, everything's changed. Everything changed from there. And I started to hear conversations about, hey, Jerome, I see you're fasting. Do you know that there's people that they don't eat? They don't eat at all. Even there's even people that they don't drink. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was scratching my head. I was like, what do you mean? But I was at such a low point at the time that I was ready to accept a new idea. I was ready to believe that something that I'd never heard about could be true. And even though I had never met anybody like that at that time, I was ready to believe that there could be somebody living in that way. And for instance, their chief monk, Sayadaw, at the time, he still roams around, and teaches meditation in different places. But he was on a full liquid diet. So he had already gone, this was back in 2019. He had already been 2 years on a liquid diet, only liquids. So no solid food for him. So I was like, wow, if he did it for 2 years, I could at least do it for a month. Let me just try a month. So I was only going to do a month. That was it. I was just going to do a month, no solid food, just 1 month. And when I told them, they said, oh, that's too long.
Oh, yeah.
I remember somebody.
Well, they invited you to stay with them, but it looks bad for the monks from Myanmar if somebody dies on their.
Maybe that was the concern. Maybe that was the concern for sure.
I have a question for you because I was talking to one of the to our station manager here this morning before I came on about who my guest was going to be, and she actually was mentioning that she knows a couple of breatharians in Florida, but she was asking me because I wasn't planning on getting into it, but because she asked, I'm going to ask you when people talk about living only on liquids, no solid food. What do they mean? Just water and tea or fruit juice or like a super food protein shake with chlorophyll and wheatgrass? Like when they talk about no solid foods, only liquids, like one of her friends is a raw, is a fruitarian and only eats fruit juices.
Right.
So she's wondering about how many calories are they getting from the liquids? Is it enough to sustain you? I.e., are they really breatharians or are they just living off of soup and fruit juice? And I was telling her that most of them, it's not like they have that 5 times a day. It's maybe once or twice a week.
Right.
But can you talk about when the senior monk at the with the Myanmar monks in California at the monastery was saying that he's been on he hasn't eaten solid foods in 2 years. What did they actually mean by that?
Well, he was actually liquefying everything. So he was just liquefying, everything was just in liquid form. So it just, it just took the shape of the container. So it was all in liquid form. It could be poured and take the shape of the container. So that was just, that considered it a liquid. For me, myself, at the moment, I drink juice, coconut water, tea. Today I had like an apple ginger lemon combo of juice. I have a masticating juicer right here. So I walk, daily I walk like the 5 miles back and forth to the grocery store. I grab the stuff that I'm gonna make for juice. I bring it back, celery, parsley, apple, ginger, oranges, whatever, and I put it in and I blend it up, in the juicer, and then I just have it in the mason jars. So that's what I have. So yeah, of course you're not drinking all throughout the day, but what I supplement that with is the meditation, being out in nature, grounding, earthing, getting a lot of sunlight, sun gazing, breath work, meditation, and qigong. Qigong is really my preferred form of energy work. Some people do a lot of different things that they feel sustained by that energy, or they feel maintained by that energy, or they feel that they can gain with that energy. But, it's really just understanding that I feel fasting, the difference between fasting and pranic living is that fasting is like going without for a time with the knowing that you're going to eventually go back. Like you're eventually going to go back into consumption of eating solid foods, but you're going without it for a time to detox and you're healing the body. So you're healing the body. Versus pranic living, you're understanding that you can get nourishment from other sources. So you don't necessarily have to draw your direct nourishment and nutrition from the sources that we're used to. You can actually go to another source, which is getting it from anyway. The plants are getting it from the sun, which are being consumed by whatever is consuming them that we consume on the back end. So for a lot of my life, I was getting like a tertiary, not even a secondary form of nourishment. I was getting a tertiary form from the animals that I was eating. Then when I went to the plants, and then the plants are going to the sun. So going directly to the sun, you're cutting out all of the middle. You're cutting out the middleman. You're going straight to the source, which is giving all life on the planet. So working with that, working with the breath, working with prana directly, I mean, you can feel your hunger diminish at a rapid rate, and definitely when the parasites and things that cause cravings in the body start to be released and detoxed, I mean, it's like you have a whole new body. It's like you have a whole new body. And then it actually feels like a choice whether or not you want to go back and eat solid food. So for me now, it's been over 2 years since I had solid food. Now I just have juice. I have, like I said, tea, coconut water, just everything in liquid form.
Well, yeah, I think it's obvious that that diet you just described that you eat, that's not, you're not getting all your calories and nutrition from the food. You're obviously you're being nourished from another source, prana or the sunlight or the breath.
Right.
Well, the breath would be prana, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a way of access, and the qigong, which, yeah, qigong. You prefer qigong over tai chi. I find that qigong is more. You feel the energy. You feel the energy moving with qigong. Tai chi, not so much. I think.
Well, from what I've learned, and this has just been my studies for, in like Chinese philosophy or traditional Chinese medicine, they're actually the same. Like qigong energy exercises, like qi energy, and then gong is like work or exercise. You're working with energy. It's energy work. So tai chi is qigong. It's like a form of qigong. So they're one and the same. It's like
Well, yeah, I know it's a form, but I think that I always thought the qigong is like more specialized energy work, and tai chi kind of like more generalized.
right.
I know that when I do I can do qigong for an hour. I mean tai chi for an hour. When I try to do qigong, it's like 20 minutes, and I'm ready to call it a day. It seems a lot more energy intensive somehow.
For sure.
But And as far as like you're not eating, being on liquids only, not eating solids. So liquids you're talking about, to me, that's just like having flavored water. By which I mean, I know a lot of breatharians say that if you're not eating anymore, you don't need to drink water because the water is for cleaning out the waste created by eating food. So if you don't eat food, you don't need to drink water. But and I was just talking about this with the engineer here at the station.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I live in the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
and outside it can be very hot.
Right.
So I think regardless of water is waste removal, I need water for cooling. I
Mm.
need to sweat. I need to stay cool. I need water like a car. The worst thing that can happen to your car is you lose your radiator.
Mm.
So the water is for cooling. So even if I don't need water for cleaning out waste, I'm still going to be drinking water. Even if I'm not eating anything at all, I'm going to be drinking water just to be able to keep cool for
Mm.
the cooling effect of the water. Um, but if I try drinking only water all the time, it just gets really boring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
apple juice, ginger, carrot juice,
Right.
that sounds really good. And um, and now you're walking to the store five miles
Mm-hmm.
to get this. So whatever calories you got, you burned up on the way back anyway.
Yeah. 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 Pretty much
But
so.
yeah, that's really, I think that's a testament to that what you're doing works.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm very much a student in this. I definitely consider myself a beginner in this journey. And, I know you said, you use the word like breatharians. I feel like we're all breatharians. When I was looking back at interviews with Wiley Brooks and, different people who have spoken on this journey, they classify, there's the words breath and air is in breatharian, and we're all working with the breath. We're all breathing in the air. So technically, we're all breatharians. It's just removing the things that block us from this awareness that the breath is actually giving us life, that the apple is not really giving us life, that the apple juice is not actually giving us life, but the breath itself. Once the breath is gone, the spirit is gone. The flesh is still there, the body still remains. The body is still sitting there. The shell is there, but the breath has left. So it's understanding the importance on what is actually providing the life for me to be alive, for me to thrive. And if I'm not blocking that breath with food or just all these things that block the breath that I could bring into my body anyways, then I can feel a lot more vitality for sure.
And so what happened when you told the monks you wanted, since the guy had not had any solid food for 2 years, you figured you could do it in a month, and they said, well, don't go, what they did, let you try it for a week, and then what happened?
So I let myself try it. I love when somebody tells me that I can't do something.
Oh,
That's like game on. For me,
yeah.
you know.
I can't do it. Watch me.
Exactly, watch me. That's exactly what I said. So that's the best thing you could tell me is that I can't do something because that's the next thing that's on my list. So that became my mission to just do 1 month. After 2 weeks, solid matter was still coming out of my body. My mind was blowing because I was like, okay, nothing solid is coming in, but I'm still releasing a lot of solid matter. And it was just showing me just how long, the digestive tract, the digestive system, the small and large intestine, it's so long. I mean, I just had no idea how much stuff is stored within us and really that we can hold on to. The body has such an ability to hold on to emotions and also physical things, of physical nature. But we hold on to a lot more than we realize. But when we give ourselves time to detox and release, we realize what we've been holding on to this whole time. So a lot of things were released out of my body during that time. But at the end of that first month, just that first month, I felt so much more clarity, so much more focus, so much more concentration, so much less brain fog, just a lot more vibrancy. It was a lot more enthusiasm and energy for life. Depression was just kind of fading away. all the, the procrastination was fading away. I felt more purposeful. I felt more fulfilled. I knew where I needed to go, and I had the energy to go there
And you get the poisons out of your body detoxing of.
as a bonus. As
Yeah,
a,
I mean that's it's
yeah,
not hard to figure out why people feel better after letting all that go, and they don't realize how much, I don't want to get disgusting, but how much fecal waste the average person, how many pounds
yeah,
they have, and like you discovered, you stopped eating, but the waste kept coming.
it kept coming.
It's like we think, what I'm doing today in the bathroom is from what I ate 4 hours ago.
No,
And maybe it comes in at the top and pushes out at the bottom. But if you stop eating, it doesn't stop coming. You don't stop going to the bathroom, at least for a while. So what is it like now, though? Because I don't want to get. Um, Sometimes I would like to have just like a solid thing.
hmm.
Never mind. Let's not get into it.
Okay. Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Are you doing like little? Some people will talk about like little like rabbit pellets.
rabbit pellets. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from when you go to the bathroom, or nothing at all, or is it liquid?
It can be regular depending on what I'm consuming. So what, depending on the juice, like if there's a lot of,
Oh, like apple with
if,
fiber.
yeah, if there's fiber and stuff in the juices, like it's still coming out. It's still gonna come out. So it's gonna clump together and come out regular, So I still have, regular bowel movements. It just depends on, what I'm putting in. That's what's coming out. But
Okay, let's get back on track. So
yeah,
you're doing you were at the monastery and you're going without food and it's still coming out, and
yeah.
you were feeling. Were you like were you sleeping like only 1 or 2 hours a day?
So sleep definitely started to decrease. So my sleep quota started to go down little by little, and then at a certain point, I was having maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep, and that was it. My body was fresh, it was ready to go, it was recharged, and it was ready to go on 2 to 3 hours. And that was really amazing to me because I had never just woken up in the rising like that, just with the sun not even up yet, the moon was still up in the sky, and my body was giving
Yeah.
me all the signals that it was firing on all cylinders. It was ready to go. So that was very, very eye-opening for me to see that I didn't need as much sleep as I thought I did. There were things like going out into the cold. The cold wasn't affecting me like it used to. Exercise was actually giving me energy instead of feeling depleted. It was actually feeding me instead of depleting me. So as I was walking, it was like I was generating my own energy. I was creating my own energy through exercise. So that became like giving myself a battery pack with energy work and exercise on that level. And then when I got more sensitive, I started to get hyper sensitivity in my body. My olfactory senses started to open up. And this was after 1 month. I felt so good. I went 2 more months. So I went a full 3 months that first time in 2019 on a liquid diet, and my nose opened up like never before. I was able to smell things that I'd never smelled before in such a profound way that it felt superhuman compared to what I was when I was in the densities of all of the food, just the density of the solid food and the sheer quantity, the sheer amount that I was putting away, the portions that I was putting away in my body. I couldn't smell anything. And I thought my nose was broken. When I started fasting and letting go, I could smell everything. And then going into a grocery store, that became like an experience. Just to walk in the store, just to walk around the store, and just to walk like the aisles, the bakery, the produce, the different sections of the store, smelling all of the items in the store, just smelling. That
You didn't have to eat. You got full just from smelling.
through my nose. I was eating through my nose. Yeah. So that was a huge experience. And then the level of sensitivity with just the air itself, like running my hand through the air. This was during my longest dry fast. So my longest dry period going without food and water. At the end of that dry period, I ran my hand through the air and I could physically feel that there's moisture in the air. Like we live in water, and it's like we don't realize that we're surrounded by water. There's water everywhere. There's water all around us in the atmosphere. And I just ran my hand through the air and I could physically, it was like my pores opened up and my body, my skin was starting to drink. It was drinking this energy. It was like drinking in the moisture of the atmosphere. And I was totally satiated. And I had been over 2 weeks without, food and drink. And I was
So it's not
totally,
that people are starving, fasting, dehydrating, going without food, going without water. You're just eating and drinking in a different way. You're
exactly.
eating prana and sunlight, and you're drinking moisture from the air.
You got it. You got it.
So, as opposed to like that, maybe that's the difference between breatharianism and fasting, where you're actually going without because you haven't got your body to the place. With fasting, your body has not either hasn't gotten to the place yet where it can get the water out of the air and the food from the sun. So you're actually literally going, not eating and drinking for however long the fast is.
Right.
Which,
And you might think that you need it as well. That's another piece, just the belief that if I don't eat, I'll die.
right.
That belief system can block a lot of the energy that we could receive because the mind is so powerful that if you believe that you can't, you won't. If you believe that it's killing you, it is, So the mind is so powerful that if you don't know that you can survive without this, that you can thrive without this, the body's not going to actualize, something that is not a program that has not been downloaded by the mind is not going to be an actualization. You're not going to have that realization. So that's a whole nother portion. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like my um, favorite example about belief is there are people who have skydivers who have parachuted and their parachute failed and they survived.
Mm.
And then there are people who fall off a 2-foot step ladder in the kitchen and die.
Right.
And it's all a matter of belief.
Right.
As the person is falling, do they believe they're going to live or do they believe they're going to die?
Mm. Big example. Yeah. Wow. So you're right. The mind it has a huge role to play for sure.
The mind is really important.
Yeah.
And it also helps, you get your belief confirmed when you successfully go without food and water for a week or a month or however long it might be.
Yeah. It builds confidence. Yeah.
And so then, what did you do with this experience and with the time that it freed up from not having to sleep so much?
Yeah. What I used to do with my time and what I still do with my time, I use it for creation. There's so much that we can do with the vibration that we have. If we have a heightened state of energy, it used to be that I would have labeled that insomnia. I would have called it insomnia, thinking like I should be sleeping, but I'm not sleeping. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with me. But
again, belief.
Go ahead.
I said again, belief.
Exactly, the belief. So I flipped that on its head and I realized, no, I just have an abundance of energy. It doesn't mean that I have to be knocked out, for 8 or 9 hours. If my body is ready to go after 3 hours, then I'm ready to go. Like, what do I do with this energy? If I have more energy, now my prospects go up. Now I have more time because I have more energy. So I have to find something creative to do with my time. If I don't find something constructive, if I don't find something productive, usually the energy tends to go towards the destructive. It tends to go towards something that's, going to put a damper on myself, or some people will find it so uncomfortable to be with all that energy that they will go back to eating just to put themselves back to sleep because it's so uncomfortable to be awake at those hours. When everybody else is sleeping, you're awake. You're like, what do I do with myself? What do I do now? So I would spend time reading. I would spend time listening to music, dancing. I might spend time working out, doing calisthenics, doing exercise, maybe pacing the room, walking back and forth, maybe just sitting down in meditation, maybe writing, journaling, processing, working on myself in ways that, when the sun does come up, the rest of the day, I mean, I've already pretty much gone through a full day before people have gotten up. So it's a lot. It's a lot you can do with the energy. Yeah.
And I get the feeling that it's not just about having more energy. It's also you feel good. You don't feel
Right.
amped up or hyper. You
Right.
actually feel healthy and you feel good. You feel like the body feels like it fits comfortably. It's not in pain or
Exactly.
slowing down or anything like that. I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's like warm and idling well, not like revving up. Just sort of like feeling um, healthy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like, I used to drink a lot of energy drinks. I used to drink a lot of caffeine. I was working jobs that I hated. I couldn't stand working these jobs. And just to stand on my feet, since there were jobs that I worked from 10 at night till 10 in the morning. So just a graveyard shift. And I would knock back Red Bulls and Monsters and Rock Stars and all sorts of caffeine to keep myself up. And there was a huge spike, but then there was a huge drop. It was like a roller coaster. Being on your own energy, living on your own energy is very different. It's steady. It's steady throughout the day. It's not like very, frenetic. It's not very like frantic energy. It's not very sporadic. It's steadily through the day. You're coasting on that energy, and it carries you. It really does. Yeah.
And I mean, so uh, how did you wind up getting into um, coaching and giving coaching? Coaching with people. And was that before or after you met Elatom Elamim, or
This
how did that come about?
Yeah, this was definitely after I met Ellie Tom. Ellie Tom was the first retreat that I went to, Ellie Tom Elameen's retreat, and that was back in Sherman Oaks, California, with him and another woman at her Sound Palace temple. It was 9 of us there for like 8 days. We were together, and he was just coaching us. And that was the first Breatharian retreat, Pranic retreat that I had ever been to. Since then, I've been to several more after that, just ingraining it really in my nervous system. And now I've gotten to the point where I feel good enough to help other people along the way who are just starting their journey. So I've definitely been privileged, to be in the position to impart what I've learned and continue to learn to other people who schedule coaching or one-on-ones. So that all
Is
happened.
that what most of your coaching is about? Helping people to go into a breatharian lifestyle, or is it about like um, positive energy, positive affirmations, helping them just make their life better?
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily becoming a breatharian, but I mean,
that-
maybe for you, it's all one and the same.
It's
Come to
yeah,
see me about being a breatharian, and we'll deal with your um, pessimistic procrastination problem first.
yeah. It's all in.
Right?
Yeah, it's all
Is
in.
that mainly you do that mainly on Patreon?
So Patreon is one avenue where that's the membership, that people have a whole library of pranic living, breatharianism. I mean, there's just tons of audios, videos, and books that I have growing on Patreon. But the one-on-ones, the consultations, and the coaching is separate. That's separate from that. So people
Okay.
schedule that with me personally. Like they reach out on Instagram. Some people are, they're fasting, or some people are just frustrated with life. Like you said, they just need coaching on mindset, focus. They're maybe depressed, maybe they have relationship problems. And I've had people who just, lack confidence in some area that they're looking for guidance on. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, 'cause that's one of the reason that's why I brought this up, because you do a lot of interviews and you're not doing coaching necessarily. You're interviewing people just like you do a lot of interviews. And I really like your interview style because it's positive, it's uplifting, you repeat back what the person said and then ask a question about it. So it's like you're actively engaged in the listening. And I always think, I was thinking to myself, he would make a really good coach, because that's, if you could, that's like a really good way to coach people, and you could coach people and help them, just uplift them, and help them to do better, whether they adopt a breatharian lifestyle or not.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I think that's why I wanted to bring it out, let people know that you are available for coaching, and I'll put all the links up so they
Thank
can
you.
find you one way or another.
Thank
Uh,
you. Yeah.
and so, well, you were at the Pranic Festival in Italy.
Yes.
Um, oh, what's his name? The guy that's
Nicholas Pilart's. Mhm.
Nicholas Pilat. Um, so, and you were like one of the speakers there.
Right. Yeah,
What is it
absolutely.
like being a speaker at the Pranic? What is the whole Pranic scene in Italy? Um, uh, like, what is that area he's carved out a little encampment in the national forest, or does he have his own place, or what's it like? Are you like far away from traffic and air pollution, or out in nature, or are you like just inside? Just, you can't really tell from the website exactly what's going on there. Is it? Tell us about what it's like to be a speaker at the Pranic Festival in Italy.
Absolutely. Thank you for
And
asking.
tell people what it is. I mean, because people think this is some kind of bizarre lifestyle that like four people in the world believe in, But it's actually, maybe it used to be like that, but now there are global conferences
For
with
sure.
people from all over the world, and it's enough of us to make a crowd now.
Yeah.
So tell them about that.
For sure. Thank you for asking this. It definitely is getting a lot more, getting a lot bigger every year. It's getting to be, much more on that global scale. And it already is, in my opinion, it already is on the global scale. But, technology has allowed me to connect with so many people. If it weren't for technology, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to go, and, they flew me out to speak in Italy at the Pranic World Festival in Kokore. So Kokore is the Fabriano province in Italy. There's a little place called Kokore, and that's where Nicholas Pilart's has his grounds. Like he has a whole big property. He owns acres and acres of land, and this is like a little bit away from the city, so it's in nature. It's really in nature. People are camping. They're having tents set up. There's a place where they have, there's a cafe where people are making juices and nut melts and, vegan options. People have different foods at the eatery. They have a ticket with vouchers. All the speakers get a voucher. I had a voucher, so I was going and getting my juice and my kombucha at this place that they had. Then, so I've been speaking at the Pranic World Festival since 2021. So I've done it 3 times online and once in person. So in person, I believe, was 2022. That was the year I went in person. And so when I spoke there in person, it was a beautiful experience. I played chess with a lot of people there from different countries. I love playing chess, and I got to know people one on one. People who have seen me online, like you said, you've seen a lot of the interviews that I've done. We were able to feel each other's energy, feel each other's presence in person. And I think there's nothing like just seeing somebody in the flesh, seeing somebody in the physical, where you can hug someone, you can touch someone, you can see, okay, this is a real person. They might not be doing everything everyone else is doing. They might not be chewing everything else is chewing, but they're still a real person. They're still a genuine individual. And that's one of my favorite parts of this journey, is just seeing people from all walks of life, from all countries and continents, that are just living in their own pranic existence. So to answer your question about, what this actually is, and all these things popping up, they have, a Pranic festival in Romania, Pranic festival in Italy. They have, different retreats in Sedona, Arizona, California, like Israel. Like there's people like Ray Mayor, Christiana El Trayan, Jazz Muhin is doing dark rooms all over the world. So Australia, China, like I hear about all sorts of events going on all the time where people are coming into their own understandings of this pranic awareness and this consciousness of just having an option, just knowing that you have the option to go without solids, and that you won't wilt away and start fainting, and you won't lack energy, or you can still build muscle, and you can still go on, you can still get your daily duties, your chores done without having to be weighed down or over encumbered and burdened by a lot of things that maybe keep us in a sedentary way of life. And it definitely kept me in a sedentary way of life for a lot of my life. So just to know you have the choice available, I think is already powerful. To witness someone, just witnessing someone existing, talking, walking, breathing, and they're not eating, they're not drinking, and they don't even need to take a break to use the restroom, and you're with this person day in and day out, you can see what they're doing.
Was that with like with LME?
That was with Elitom. So in the 4 years that I've known him, I've been at multiple retreats with him, and I've never seen him do any of those things. I've never seen anything go into his body. And I mean, that's a lot of time to know somebody and never see anything, enter his body. That's amazing. So
And he seems a pretty happy guy.
He's currently walking the continent of Africa. He's happy. I mean, he's just living in the sun. And I do his qigong practice that I learned from him years ago. I still do the same one today. Yeah.
And what about yeah, you feel better physically,
Mm-hmm.
And you have more time because you're not you're not preparing food, you're not grocery shopping, you're not cooking it, you're not eating it, you're not cleaning up afterwards. You're sleeping less because you're not tired and processing the food that you ate, which is right. So all of that is good for making us able to get more done. But does it help you with a higher reason for living, a higher quality of life, or more in touch with your emotions and in touch with your spiritual core?
Definitely. Yeah. I would say it.
Talk about that a little bit, because if breatharianism was just about being more productive because you don't use time eating and so you can get
Yeah,
more done. But yeah, that's great. But I I I think that um, it contributes to our spiritual life, our spiritual understanding.
absolutely.
So talk about that some.
For sure. Absolutely. And I love this question. Like, thank you for asking this, because it's much more than the physical. It is much more than the energetic. It's definitely emotional, because like we mentioned with the heightened sensitivity, when your sensitivity heightens and you're able to feel a lot more, you have to deal a lot more because it reveals a lot more. So now your body, it's able to heal a lot more, but you have to feel a lot more, and you have to deal a lot more with the emotions that have been buried, maybe from generations or even just years of just burying these emotions down with the food. Now they have to rise to the surface. There's nowhere else for them to go. There's no hiding anymore. So you're not hiding from your emotions. You have to address them. And if you don't address them, get very uncomfortable, because they're coming. They're bubbling to the surface because they have room to come up now. So having to process all those things that maybe haven't been processed for a long time, that have just been locked into the subconscious, locked into the cellular makeup of the body, experiences maybe that we have not even, just gone through ourselves, they come up to the surface for us to address them. And it's one of the best ways to do it during maybe not even just pranic living, but just fasting in general. This
And
is,
it's better to bring them up and address them than
yeah,
than just keeping them suppressed and buried.
you got it.
I mean, people have it feels, maybe it might feel at first like it's better to keep it covered up and suppressed and buried, but well, like the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says something like, um, if you bring out what is within you, what is within you will save you. If you do not bring out what is within you, what you do not bring out will destroy you.
Yes. It's like the truth will set you free.
Yeah, there you go. The
Yeah.
truth will set you free. So you have to bring the truth out to be set free.
Absolutely.
And so your breatharian lifestyle helps to bring that out.
It does. Yeah.
And and does it all, so what happens when it comes out and you deal with it, you feel it, you deal with it, you heal it,
Hmm.
and does that bring you a spiritual benefit?
Yeah. You feel a lot lighter, you know? You feel a lot less weighed down. You feel a lot less burden. There's a lot less on your shoulders that you've been carrying, this whole time. We carry a lot, that we don't even realize that we're carrying. Like you said before, even with the pounds of waste in the body, people get people get worried about losing a lot of weight in the body, but it was really me. I was losing a lot of waste in the body. There was a lot of waste that I was removing and losing. When you get a lot of that, off of yourself, and when you release a lot of these emotions and you acknowledge them, you can hear them, you can see them, they can be heard, they can be seen, they can be processed, then you feel like you're walking a lot lighter, you're a lot less dense, you're a lot less heavy, and things can be drawn to you. There's a gravitational pull. I definitely believe in the law of attraction, the law of magnetism. I definitely feel like you increase your gravitational field, or the magnetic pull of different situations, circumstances, outcomes, and events, and even people, spiritual encounters with other people. These things, they pop up really quick when these things come off of the body. So it shapes your whole reality for sure.
Yeah, you're lighter, so you're I think it's all just projections of consciousness, and I think of the body as a metaphor or a symbol for what's going on in consciousness. So the waste from the waste, the physical food waste is actually emotional, suppressed emotional issues. It's the same thing. And then when you get lighter, you get all that cleaned down, and you're lighter and more energy. Your energy is flowing
Yes,
is correctly instead of stopping every 5 inches because it's got a blockage in it.
you got it.
You are your electromagnetic field is functioning more efficiently, and so you're bringing the experiences that you need into your perceptual field. Boom, 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 one after the other,
Yeah.
and it's the miracles can come so thick and fast. And sometimes it can even get a little bit frightening. You'll get
Yes.
a little like, what's going on?
Yes.
Where's Rod Serling?
Right. Right. Exactly. You explained it perfectly. Yeah. Yeah.
What? You've written a lot of books. Let me ask you. Tell me, pick 2 books. Okay, a rank beginner in breatharianism that knows nothing about it. Which of your books should they read? And somebody that is already on the pranic path and is looking for tips and tricks from somebody that's further ahead, been on it longer. Which of your books should they read? And you should read all of my books. That you're not. That is not. You are not allowed that answer. You can't.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can also recommend a couple of other books from other people that I've read as well that have helped me as well.
Okay.
There's been a lot of breatharian knowledge and breatharian literature that I've consumed from other people that have definitely helped me along my journey. One of
Yeah,
them.
but those other people are not here on my show, Jerome.
Oh, okay. Okay, so one of them, for complete beginners, I would say, Breatharian Beginnings is a great one to start with. So,
Okay.
Breatharian Beginnings, that book,
Appropriately titled.
yeah. So it talks about, my testimony, my journey, my learnings, my discoveries, my epiphanies, my realizations, but also it has the vibration of other people that I've met along the way. There's a lot of quotations from a lot of people that I've met and just had conversations with, interviews with, that I've been gracious enough to have them, lend me their voice, and we've added their voice to the book. So that book definitely for the beginners, Breatharian Beginnings, that will kind of give you a layout of what we're talking about here, and a good point to start with. And then for the intermediate, or to the, the person who's already on the path, but they want to dive even deeper, Pranic Living Unveiled and Food Freedom, The Final Frontier. So Pranic Living Unveiled and Food Freedom, those two books would be for the advanced practitioner or somebody who just really wants to go further in their journey. Yeah.
Are you doing the balloons?
Oh yeah, it happened.
Okay.
Because of yeah. No worries.
Cool. How do you do? Wow.
Yeah, it's just this. Is this? You see?
Neat.
Yeah, like there's there's this one, the hearts, then
Oh wow. So it goes off. It cues off your body
there's
movements.
congratulations,
That's amazing.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh wow. Okay. All right, and I'll put that. I'll get the books up that you just been. Well, I'll have them all up, but I'll put like little stars by the ones you talked about. Um, are you still doing the Open Palm podcast, or is that a historic? You still doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I mainly see you on YouTube, but and that's kind of like uh, more along the coaching and life tips kind of a thing.
Well, yeah, the Open Palm podcast, that started in 2018. So that's when I started doing that. And I was doing podcast episodes every day just on motivating themes, thought provoking ideas, and messages that could uplift people and encourage people and enlighten others, to my own things that I was learning. So now it's still going. Yeah.
And like it every day still.
Yeah, so not every day now, but when I have interviews with other people, they also go on the podcast as well.
So it's like the YouTube and the Open
Right.
Palm
So it goes
podcast.
straight to the open palm. Yeah.
Yeah, but so and it was just like a little short, like I don't know what you would call it, like life wisdom tip, motivation tip,
Right.
getting people like just uh, getting people away from focusing on the negative and focusing on the positive, and just like little helpful tweaks to how we look at it. Of course, um, when we scheduled this interview was before the election,
Hmm.
which was a very, for me anyway, an unexpected result.
Hmm.
Do you have anything you want to share with people about how to transcend the politics and have a more positive approach, or ask positive interpretation of our current situation here in the U.S.?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. You're the first person to ask me that. I really don't watch the news, so I don't get into politics. It's been years. It's been years since I've seen the news. I don't even, here in my apartment, I don't know if you can see, I don't even have a television. I don't even have a TV. I just have those books down there. So that's what I consume. So my form of consumption isn't through politics, isn't through the news. I get my form of consumption through spiritual books, through things that is going to really take me higher and elevate me. And I don't put so much anymore. I used to, when I was around family members and parents who were very consumed heavy with the news. I used to put a lot of my power in the hands of somebody else who was in power. So I would say, oh, because this person is in office, maybe I don't have this, I can't do this or I can't do that. If such and such was in office, maybe I would have more freedom, or maybe I would have more of that. Instead of placing my value, my worth, my power in the hands of somebody else in that position, I really don't do that anymore. So I feel like for me, it's been more of a solitary journey. I understand that there is a collective, but I know that there's power in your own perspective. So no matter what the collective and the directive and the objective of the overarching collective, you still have your individual perspective. And if you protect it, you'll see it reflected and you'll see it connected if you protect it. If you respect it and do not neglect it, then you'll see it. Yeah.
So we were just talking about when you get your energy and your vibe going in a certain direction and speed,
Mhm.
miracles manifest into your perceptual field
For
one
sure.
after the other very, very quickly. And so you're manifesting the things that you need into your life is completely independent of what's going on around in the political sphere. So you're like just living apart from that, and it isn't even necessary to let that bring us down.
Yeah, I mean, somebody wise once told me, they said, if you can do something about it, then don't worry. And if you can't do something about it, then don't worry.
Right.
Right? Why worry? So worrying is like praying for what you don't want. You know, it's sending out a vibration. When you're in a vibration of doubt, fear, worry, anxiety, that's still sending out a vibration that
And bringing more,
you more.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fear begets fear, love begets love. So yeah, it's
you
just
got it.
bringing more. And I guess as you're going about your life, if you need to interact with the political situation, it will
Mm,
be brought into your field. Whatever's in front of me right now is what I need to be dealing with right now.
you got it. You got it.
Um, when you went, um, when so it sounds like when you were at the monastery, as far as like going on liquids only, that was just like cold turkey. Like you just started. Like and I was wondering what your process is because some people do like the 21-day process,
Hmm.
and there's like the 9-day or the 10-day process. There's like gradually cutting back every day more and more on solid foods.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so what would you so how do and then what how did you go to breatharianism? Was it like a slow gradual process, or just like cold turkey like overnight but only for a month or two, and then you went back to eating, and then later on you did it again and
Mhm.
just kept going like that? Or how did what was your process?
Yeah, so between 2020 and 2022, it was like a back and forth roller coaster of up and down, in and out, back and forth with solids, you know, and I wouldn't recommend anybody to do what I did. I can be kind of headstrong, I can be kind of extreme when it comes to, like I said, you know, when they told me I couldn't do it, I went straight into it. There was no gradual process of me becoming vegetarian and then becoming vegan and then raw vegan and then fruitarian and then liquidarian, or there was no gradual ascension. I just jumped off the cliff. I just jumped straight off, and I was just building my parachute on the way down, just kind of
I
yeah,
never heard it. I never heard it put that way. I
yeah,
jumped out and I was building my parachute on the way
on
down.
the way down. On the way down, I had to assemble it. So that was how I started. And you know, luckily, it was my ignorance. It was my ignorance that actually I laugh when I get like a realization. It was my ignorance that allowed me to go so far in the first place. Because if I had, my mom's a doctor. My mom's a doctor. So, if I had more nutritional knowledge, or more of if I had more beliefs, or more, more education of what I thought that the body could be sustained on, and what I thought that it could not be sustained on, I wouldn't have gone as far as I did. It was my lack of education and my ignorance allowed me to keep going. So when I went into the complete dry state, when I was with Elitom, and I was just going without food and water for days on end, that shot me into such the pranic state that I realized, wow, like I had never felt anything like that before, and I will always remember that feeling. So, this journey is still a journey. It's like an ongoing learning, that it's a lifestyle for me now, but there's no end destination point. There's no like it's not like I'm looking at the top of a mountain and I'm like, okay, eventually I'll be there. Like I'm making my way there. It's just like an ongoing journey and it's ongoing. You know, it's like lifelong. So there is no end point or end destination that I'm trying to reach. You know, it's just understanding that it's all a journey. So yeah, I mean, that it blows my mind, because had I known more, ironically, had I had more education, I don't think I would have allowed myself to go as far as I went. So that's why I don't advise people to jump headlong, because I mean, you could actually hurt yourself if you don't have. I had complete faith, complete belief, and complete conviction that this was possible. For one reason is because I just knew somewhere deep down there was a calling. There was something that spoke to me about this lifestyle. But then number two, I was hanging around Elitom, and like you said, he's laughing all the time. He's doing all the stuff, and he's not consuming anything. So I have visible proof of somebody I'm living with. At the time, we all lived with each other, and I'm living with this guy who's not doing any of this stuff, and he's thriving. You know, so that was showing me like, okay, there must be more. This isn't it. There has to be more, because it's showing me, like, it's showing me. So it just was so undeniable. And then when my body made a switch, that was when everything changed, and I realized for myself, which I tell people is the most powerful testimony, is no one else's but your own. Your own testimony is going to be so ingrained within you, so deeply embedded, that it trumps out anybody else's, because you know without a shadow of a doubt, no one can tell you. Now I was walking around downtown Los Angeles, and I realized that it had been a choice this entire time. I was seeing homeless people on the street, and I was seeing the dichotomy of, what they call the rich and the poor, the famous and the not so famous. So everybody was living out lives in heavily, consumption. And I was in this kind of purgatory state in the middle, wondering if I was going crazy because I wasn't consuming anything, but I was feeling everything. So that became my transformation. And when the lower vibration came in was the judgment. So when you integrate back into society, when you go back around friends and family, or when friends and family see you and they see the changes that have happened to your body, you're looking different, you're not the son that I knew, what's happening to our son? He's killing himself, he's hurting himself. Son, please eat something, we'll send you money, please eat something. All that stuff, that negative vibration, I wasn't ready for that. So that led me into the downward spiral of binging, binging and purging. I was in a complete food disorder cycle. I had never had a food disorder before. Never ever had a food disorder. So I thought, but once I went into that cycle of binging and purging after my parents and after all of that wave of negative energy, I really had to really go into the self-love to get myself out of that situation. And it was only self-love that healed me through that, because I mean, that was super, super traumatizing, coming off of a fast and going straight into binging all sorts of, junk food and releasing all that stuff. That was tough. That was really tough. So I have compassion
Well,
for people.
You mentioned your mother was a doctor, so I imagine.
Yeah. So it was scaring her. She was
I
scared.
imagine she was explaining to you all the scientific reasons why you couldn't possibly go without food.
Yeah, she was afraid. My dad was scared. Both of my parents were really worried. And it was only when I got around them that they started to understand. So when they saw me from afar, just on the video screen, and they saw how, the weight had dropped, everything had dropped, and I was looking different, they were very afraid. But when I got around them and they were able to observe, my habits, they were able to observe my lifestyle, then they understood. That they said, okay, he's still our son, he's still Jerome, he's just living differently, but he's gonna be okay.
Oh, cool. And let's see. Is there any last thing that you would like to share with the listening audience, and before we go, like in the last minute
Yeah.
tips?
Sure, just gratitude. Really just gratitude for you. Thank you for just having me on this platform once again. Thank you for the opportunity to share, to share my story, to give this testimony, because, it's been an affirmation for me to use my voice to have an impact, to people in this generation and the next. And thank you for providing the space to do that. So just thank you for all the listeners and everyone who tunes in. Really appreciate you, and just enjoy the journey. Really just enjoy it. Like, have fun. Have fun. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Hey. So I want to thank you for coming on the program today.
Absolutely.
Here on Children of the Sun, WSTX AM 970, and check out the. You can watch the show again if you didn't see it live on WSTX AM 970's Facebook page. I'll put it up on mine as well, and we'll have the links to Jerome's Patreon and a list of his books on Amazon. Um, we are just about out of time, a little over actually. But so, Jerome, thank you so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. I was hoping we might get a little bit of your flute playing in, but if we're kind of up against the time wall right now, but if you wanted to play us out, if it's available, I don't know.
Sure. Let me grab it for you. Hold on. All right, you ready? You ready there? Still there? Okay.
Okay, that was Jerome Shaw playing on his flute. Thank you, Jerome, for joining us here on Children of the Sun. Um, and I mean, the stream will be in touch, right? Thank you.
Awesome. Take care.
Blessings. Blessing. In stream.